Welcome to the Private Lenders Podcast with your host from Hard Money Bankers, Jason Balin and Chris Haddon. This podcast is sponsored by hardmoneymastermind.com.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the show. We appreciate it. Real quick before we get started, we are now full for the November Inner Circle meeting in Tampa about a month from now. To check out the waitlist, to get on the waitlist for this meeting and the following one, check out Hard Money Mastermind, innercircle.com. All right, we're talking about email marketing today. Anyone who's heard our content or is a member inside Hard Money Mastermind, you know that email marketing is one of our top couple ways, maybe the number one way to drive new leads and new business to HMB. We are very consistent with it. We do 1 or 2 emails a week, and we have for the past over 15 years. So very, very consistent. It's a must do every week. And today we're going to break down the 3 types of emails that we broadcast out.
Yeah, I mean, we're so confident in this strategy because it's worked for us from the beginning that, like, if HMB closed and as long as we had our email database, we could start from scratch with that email database and in essence continue to do deals after deals after deals after deals. And it's such a simple thing. I think a lot of hard money lenders and private lenders kind of just say, yeah, that's something I'm going to get around to at some point. Or they kind of was like, oh yeah, that's easy. That's not really where the business comes in. Like, that's where the business comes in. Again, we're going to go through the 3 email types that we do. And they're very, very simple to do, but consistency is key. And it's important to stay in front of them. You know, this is the way that I look at it is, let's say, somebody fills out a loan application and I don't call them in time, right? Or they fill out a loan application and they end up doing a deal somewhere else. Or somebody calls me and, they want a pre-approval letter and I give them the pre-approval letter and I forget to follow up with them to see if they ever got the property under contract. Well, these people are in our email database because I'm proactively putting them in our email database. Everybody that fills out a form online, or we meet at an offline group, a meetup group, a RIA group, a real estate agent, a broker, anybody who is a real estate professional goes in that list. And if somebody calls us, part of our scripting that myself, loan originators, and every single one of our partners has in place is, even if it's a deal we can't do, it's, oh, hey, by the way, unfortunately, this isn't going to be a good fit for us. What's your email address again? Let me just quickly send you all my contact information so you have it. We also send out regular emails, that have our, links to our podcast and other educational tools for real estate investors. Nobody's ever said, no, you can't have my email address. Let's just put it that way, right? Because we're providing value to them, and they all go into the database and they all get, like Chris said, 1 or 2 emails every week that in essence promote our company, provide them value, promote Hard Money Bankers. And when the right time comes, we know that we are going to be in front of them, right? Via email. Even if we don't do any more marketing for them, even if I don't see these people again. We've done deals for real estate investors that have been on our email list for 10 years. And we couldn't help them at the time. They weren't qualified at the time. They didn't like our rates at the time, whatever it is. And then they had a deal and they reached out because we were pinging them over and over and over inside their email data, inside their email inbox.
Yeah. And on occasion, we've had people hit us up. We know that we get direct deals from email marketing for sure. But people even say, like, it just so happens that I right at that time, I had a need for a private loan and I have to close a deal next week. And there you were in my inbox. Like, we've gotten that feedback so many times that it just reinforces what we already know to be true about how much business it drives. So, all right, let's break down the 3 types, because I do, one thing in the inner circle and the mastermind group that I hear lenders say is like, I don't really know what to send out. And that is not an acceptable excuse. It's your business, right? You should know what to talk about inside of your business, inside of real estate, about private lending, about your life, your company, all of it. All of it is content. But we're going to break down a few different types to help frame this a little more for you. So the 3 most common types of email broadcasts we send out, this is what we call them. 1 we call a content share, 1 we call a deal spotlight, and 1 we call a call to action. Here's what they are. Content share is just what it sounds like. Actually, they kind of all are just what they sound like. A content share is, for example, Jason and Ian Horowitz do the Real Estate Reserve podcast about all different real estate investing topics, interviewing different people in different niches. It's all valuable content for a real estate investor. Real estate investors are audience. People who are buying properties to flip, to rent, whatever it might be. That's our audience. That's who we want to lend to. So we make content specifically for that audience. And the content share email broadcast is just us sending it out. We send out a link, maybe make a snippet, what do you call that? Screenshot of the YouTube video and link to it, put a little blurb in there and tell them to go check out the video. They can learn some stuff that we are taking time to put out, content we're putting out so that real estate investors can get better at their business. That's us sharing content and giving to the community.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything of potential value that, of content that you've created, you in essence can do that. Like it could be, I don't know, it could be, a little snippet of you speaking at a RIA group, or it could be a free ebook that you potentially created. Anything content related that it will provide them value. The easiest way for us to do it in our business is we're doing a podcast anyways. So we can do snippets from that, or we can just send out a link to that entire podcast. And again, like it doesn't have to be video format. It could be just, if you like blogging or you're writing content, or like, hey, reference something that you saw in the Wall Street Journal or something related to the market, something of content, something of value for them. I mean, we highly recommend hopping on camera for at least 1 minute every week, talking about something. It could be a minute segment. It could be a 45-minute segment, just something related to, how hard money lending works, how business works, how real estate investing works, something related to this topic. And then there you go. If after you do that, you got, enough content for every social media account that you have and for your email database every week.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge for your audience, for real estate investors in your local market to see you as a source of information about business and real estate is huge. Of course, you lend money, you're a lending company, great. But if you can also provide value and make them better at business, like that just takes you up another notch over other people who are just blasting out what their interest rate is, right? Okay. So next we do deal spotlights. This is very common in the lending industry. This is when lenders send out recently closed deals. In our case, we do one at a time. Some people will paste in there, 4 or 6 or something like that. We do one at a time and we tell a little story. I sent one out last week for a commercial loan we closed in DC last month. And the subject line goes deal spotlight, $1.5 million in Washington, D.C., something like that. 1.5 million loan in Washington, D.C. And then I told a story about this commercial property, the circumstances around why they needed a private loan. It was a construction completion deal, and just a little blurb about what's going on there. And I link to a picture of the property typically, and I give some of the basic stuff like the loan amount, the value of the property, whatever, pertinent info, a few bullet points. And then I also do a call to action. Currently, we're doing emails. It's email Jason for these states, email Ian Walsh for these states, and they'll direct the traffic of the leads to come in from that. So I want to hit both, right? Like here's, in the past, I wasn't the biggest fan of doing deal spotlight type emails. I thought it was kind of lazy marketing. But the reality is that the audience, the people on the other end of that email, like that stuff. The data shows you that. The data shows you that people like or open and click deal spotlight emails at a good rate. So there you go. The audience gave you your answer. It's not really my opinion as a marketer, as a whatever. It's about what the audience wants to see. And deal spotlight is absolutely one of them.
And that's a fun one to do to begin with, because you're kind of highlighting deals that you've done. They're case studies. You make a blurb about, hey, this is a cool deal. And I think the audience really likes them because they're relatable to them. It's like, oh, crap. I didn't know you guys also lend on commercial properties. Oh, I didn't know you lend in Washington, D.C. Oh, I didn't know that you would do a loan amount of $1.5 million. Like that's what comes up, because we'll get calls, emails, texts, loan applications shortly after, and say, oh, hey, I didn't realize you guys also lend here. Like this is I have a deal here. I can relate to them. So that's a great one. And I think those are real fun to do. And I see a lot of people in the mastermind group and inner circle group, because I'm on all their email lists. I love when those come over as well. just see what types of deals that they're doing. But like, this is great, and it's totally. Listen, the easiest way to do it is just screenshot a picture with a quick blurb. Real estate investor came to me because, they thought Kiavi was going to lend on the deal and they didn't, and they backed out, at the 11th hour, and they needed quick funds for this deal. And, they bought the property at this number and we lent them this amount. And, it was a win-win situation. If you have a deal that needs to close quick, reach out to me and we'll help you out. So get creative on it. That's an easy one. If you're newer in the game and you don't have any past deals or case studies or deal spotlights, do a sample deal or do a deal that maybe you own as a rental property that you got a hard money loan on from somebody, or just get creative on it. But again, like Chris said, the case studies, deal spotlights are, appeal to a lot of people, and a lot of people like those. And again, the data doesn't lie. People like case studies and they like testimonials. You can add testimonials in there as well.
True.
Those are, statistics that, we found on opens on our emails and link clicks on our website that people really like learning and reading about.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because I've been meaning to do more of those emails about testimonials. We've had a good amount of Google reviews coming in. And these days, it's like consumers and business people are very review focused. It's so easy to access reviews online, whether you're talking about the review of a product on Amazon, somebody's opinion on, Yelp or something like that about a restaurant. Like, reviews are huge these days. So I do plan to put out more testimonials and reviews and stuff like that as marketing and emails. Okay, so the last one that we do is the call to action. In a call to action email, oftentimes I'll do this in the second half of the month with maybe 10 days or a week left in the month, and I'll use some clickbaity kind of subject line like settlement on 10/31, October 31, right? Because we're in October now. Or like regarding RE : upcoming closing, something like that. Kind of clickbaity, I know. But it's a call to action email. We're trying to make stuff happen with these emails. And I'll write up a short blurb with the one intention of getting somebody to respond to us and inquire about getting a loan. And it'll say something to the effect of, hey, do you have a deal that you need to close by the end of the month? If so, still time. We can close deals in as little as 24 hours if need be. We're a local direct private lender, and we're here to fund your deals, especially if you're on a tight timeline. Respond to us right now and we'll get on it. And we get an absolute ton of responses, to the point. And granted, like, they're not all great leads. Some are, good, some are not. But just getting that amount of responses and spending the time to work through all of them and distribute them out to the team is time well spent. We're getting deals out of that. Every month we get some deals out of, kind of surprise deals too, and they move quick. Surprise deals out of the call to action emails. We do it. Our partners in New Jersey and Philadelphia do as well. Not all the time, not every week. Once or twice a month seems to be enough. In between all of those emails, we're checking a lot of boxes. We're giving people content. We're showing them the type of loans we do, and we're hitting them kind of hard with a reach out right away. We'll close your deal.
Yeah. Right? If you usually the third week of the month is a good one to do that, because someone needs to close by the end of the month. Their contracts due, stuff like that. It's like, shoot, I'm going to stop using this other lender because they're not going to get to the closing table in time. If you're currently doing that type of email broadcast call to action, you're probably smirking as like, oh man, this is the best one. Cause that's the best time, because your phones are going to blow up. You're going to get loan applications, emails, phone calls, because those are good direct, like, send me a deal and I'll look at it. Again, in a perfect world, it'd be great to send those every day, but it's not realistic. So you got to do it, like Chris said, maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, because, it's not as much value. It's kind of like Gary Vee's book, Jab, 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 Right Hook. Like, it's kind of a right hook. Like, hey, send me it. Call to action. Right. Like, we're not beating around the bush. I mean, there's a little bit of value in there as well, but it works.
Still an ask. That's our ask.
Yeah, that's right. and it works. So let me give you kind of two other tips real quick related to this. And these aren't kind of like block and tackle tips. These are just like limited belief tips. Every eyeball counts. And what I mean by that is every email address you have counts. If you have 20 people in your email database, that's a great start. Start with that. Start with people real estate professionals, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, some other real estate investors, some appraisers, anybody in this space. That's a real, a lot of deals you don't necessarily get because it's the real estate investor calling you. It might be like a real estate agent that knows somebody needs a loan, or a mortgage broker that knows somebody that needs a loan, or an appraiser that somebody needs a loan, right? So they're all there that you can potentially provide value for. So don't worry about having a small list. If you're just starting out, we started with nobody on our list, right? And then we had a few people that we met at a RIA group, and we put their business cards in our email database. And then we started with that, and it grew and it grew and it grew, and it just got very, very big. So don't worry about that. Just start somewhere. It's really important. Another tip is, we believe, and this, you might not believe this, but we believe that it's a high level task to do, a high level job. And Chris actually writes all of these content pieces. And yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but not a tremendous amount of time, but it's a good use of time to actually put the effort into sending these out. So at the beginning, it might make sense for you as the operator that knows these deals to potentially do it. And then if you want to find somebody to potentially do it, that's fine too. But like, Chris knows these deals really well, so he talks about those deals. And I think our audience and our clients appreciate it. And, you know, it pays dividends knowing that like we're putting in the time and effort to do it. We think it's a high level task.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, and speaking to your audience is important. We feel like, it's something we could have outsourced a long time ago, but I think that is a high level task. And one thing just to wrap up here to emphasize is that when it comes to any kind of marketing work, shooting content, writing an email, whatever it might be, it's not the kind of thing to be left until after you finish all of your loan related work. It's a priority. It's to be prioritized in a given day, in a given week, so that it absolutely gets done. And then you get to your loan related work, not the other way around. Because people make the mistake of being like, oh, I'll do the marketing stuff after I finish everything else on my list. And whoever finishes everything else on their list. So put it in the front of the top of the list, make it important, because it is. Nothing more important than bringing in leads. Without leads, there's no deals. There's none of this stuff we talk about. So just wanted to emphasize that a little bit. Yeah, so I guess we'll see everyone inside hardmoneymastermind.com. If we haven't seen you in there already, come in, say hello, and we'll see you next time here on the Private Lenders Podcast.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast. Please note that the opinions stated by all the speakers on this show are only opinions and not intended for legal, financial, or accounting advice. Please make sure to always check with your own legal, accounting, and financial professionals. If you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast, we'd appreciate it if you would spread the word. Make sure to check out hardmoneymastermind.com, the #1 free community for new and experienced private and hard money lenders.